Hey. What's in that? That's big.
Don't worry about it. It rings, you do what?
Die safely, all right.
Hey, Earl, keep your eyes open.
Need help, sir?
Officer, hi.
What do you got there?
I delivering pecans to my niece.
I don't know what's wrong with him now, but this is every 15 minutes.
Hi, Dookie.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm gonna have to ask you not to touch the animal.
My Dookie, I miss him so much.
Drive safely, sir.
Okay.
Hey, you do a great Jimmy Stewart, by the way.
Where are we going?
So quiet out here. I want you to listen carefully, viejo. We have a gift for you.
That's someone who didn't follow orders.
We're not gonna babysit you.
I'm more late, shit, Earl. New boss says you show up late again and you're done.
The story begins in 2005, focusing on Earl Stone, a Korean War veteran in his 80s living in Peoria, Illinois. Earl is a highly successful horticulturist who spends the majority of his time traveling to flower shows and social events. His obsession with his career and his social standing has caused him to become distant from his family. On the day his daughter, Iris, is set to be married, Earl chooses to attend a convention to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award for his work with lilies. While he celebrates with his colleagues at a local bar, his family waits for him at the wedding. Iris is devastated by his absence and declares that she wants her father out of her life permanently. His wife, Mary, is also enraged, as this is another instance of Earl prioritizing his professional life over his family obligations. Following this event, Mary files for divorce, and Iris stops speaking to him entirely. Despite his success in the floral industry, Earl is warned that the rise of the internet is making his traditional business model obsolete. 12 years later, in 2017, the floral industry has changed significantly, and Earl's business has failed. He has lost his flower farm, and a bank has foreclosed on his home. With no money and nowhere to go, Earl packs his remaining belongings into his old pickup truck and leaves his property. He decides to drive to the home of his granddaughter, Ginny, who is hosting a rehearsal brunch for her upcoming wedding. Unlike her mother and grandmother, Ginny remains on friendly terms with Earl and is happy to see him. However, Mary and Iris are not pleased with his arrival, suspecting he only showed up because he is broke and needs a place to stay. But a chance encounter at the party is about to change Earl's life. While at the wedding rehearsal, a young man who is the boyfriend of a bridesmaid approaches Earl. Having been tipped off by one of Earl's former employees about his financial ruin, the man offers him a job as a courier. Earl is told that he only needs to drive, and as long as his old truck is dependable, he can make a significant amount of money. Earl drives to a remote garage where he meets several armed members of a Mexican drug cartel. They place a bag in the bed of his truck and give him a set of strict rules. He is never to look at the cargo, and he must always answer the phone they provide. Earl follows the instructions, drives to a specific motel, and leaves his keys in the truck as instructed. When he returns to the vehicle, the bag has been replaced by an envelope containing a large sum of cash. Stunned by how much he earned for a single trip, Earl uses the money to pay for Ginny's wedding and her education. He also pays off the bank to reclaim his home and buys a brand new black pickup truck. Earl continues to make more runs, transporting increasingly large shipments of cocaine through Illinois. Because of his age, spotless driving record, and unassuming appearance, he is never suspected by law enforcement. The cartel members begin to respect his reliability and start calling him Tata, which means grandfather. With his newfound wealth, Earl also pays for the renovations of his local VFW post, which had been damaged in a fire. This act of generosity makes him a hero among his fellow veterans. However, the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, has started to notice the massive influx of drugs into the Chicago area. Special Agent Colin Bates is transferred to the Chicago office to lead the investigation. Bates and his partner, Agent Trevino, are tasked with identifying the cartel's top transporter, known only by the code name Tata. They eventually flip a low-level cartel member who agrees to act as an informant. But the cartel's leadership is about to undergo a violent change. Earl continues to be highly successful, making record-breaking deliveries of cocaine that eventually earn him a personal meeting with the cartel boss, Latin, in Mexico. Latin is impressed by Earl's efficiency and orders his men to treat the elderly driver with respect. However, a power-hungry lieutenant named Gustavo is dissatisfied with Earl's lack of discipline and his tendency to stop and help people on the road. Tensions within the cartel reach a breaking point when Gustavo assassinates Latin and takes control of the organization. Under Gustavo's leadership, the rules for the mules become much stricter and more violent. Earl is warned that any further delays or deviations from his route will result in his death. Meanwhile, Agent Bates and the DEA receive information from their informant about a massive $12 million shipment. They begin monitoring the highways and hotels along the cartel's route. During one stop at a diner, Agent Bates unknowingly sits next to Earl. The two men have a brief conversation where Earl, unaware of Bates' identity, gives the agent advice about prioritizing family over work to avoid the same regrets Earl has. As Earl prepares to complete his largest delivery yet, he receives an urgent phone call from his granddaughter, Ginny. She informs him that Mary is gravely ill and does not have much time left. Earl initially refuses to stop because of the cartel's threats, but after Ginny rebukes him for his lack of care, he decides to risk his life and turn the truck around. Earl returns home and spends the next several days by Mary's side, finally reconciling with her before she passes away. He also attends her funeral and begins to mend his relationship with his daughter, Iris. Because he has disappeared with over 200 kilograms of cocaine, the cartel enforcers are dispatched to find and execute him. But the DEA is also closing in on Earl's location. After the funeral concludes, Earl reconciles with Iris, who invites him to stay for dinner. Earl promises to attend but explains he must first finish his outstanding business. He resumes the delivery, driving toward the drop point with the cartel's shipment still in his possession. The cartel's enforcers soon intercept Earl at a gas station and assault him for his disappearance. Earl explains that he left the route because his wife was dying and shows them her funeral card. The enforcers contact Gustavo to request leniency given the circumstances, but Gustavo initially orders them to kill Earl once the cargo is secured. However, Gustavo eventually relents and allows Earl to continue the drive to the final destination. As Earl nears the drop-off location, the DEA task force, led by Agent Bates, utilizes information from their informant to set up a massive roadblock. They successfully stop the black truck and take Earl into custody. Agent Bates is surprised to discover that the Tata he has been hunting is the same elderly man he spoke with in the diner. Earl does not resist the arrest and tells Bates that he got what he deserved, expressing relief that he was able to use his time and money to be with Mary during her final moments. But the legal consequences for his actions are now unavoidable. Earl is brought to trial for his role in the cartel's operations. His lawyer attempts to present an impassioned plea for mercy, citing Earl's advanced age and his status as a decorated war veteran. However, Earl interrupts his own lawyer to take full responsibility for his actions. He pleads guilty to all charges, admitting that he is a criminal and deserves to be punished. The judge sentences him to federal prison. While being taken away, Earl tells Iris that time is the most precious thing and expresses regret that he only returned to his family when he no longer had time left to spend with them. Despite his imprisonment, Earl's family remains supportive and promises to visit him regularly. Now 90 years old, Earl is shown serving his sentence in a federal facility. He spends his days in the prison yard, returning to his lifelong passion of horticulture by tending to a small garden. The story concludes by noting that the film is based on a real-life incident involving the oldest drug mule in America. Earl eventually passes away in prison 2 years into his sentence.